Okay, everybody. So we've finally reached the final round of merit, so we can see how we've got on. Very often these things, it's more about the journey than it is about the destination. So we're going to reveal the destination in a moment, but hopefully you've all enjoyed the journey to get to the destination. You've all worked really hard over the last day and a half, and not to mention all the hours and weeks you put in to make sure you get here. So, many congratulations on doing that. You'll see that we've got a guest appearance today. So Professor Ron McAfee, who is the architect of the game and who has run it for all the years that it's been going, and we can't agree whether it's 28 or 29 or 30, it's something like that. And Ron was really the brains behind it. Ron was in hospital yesterday and he came out, but he couldn't sit at home while this was going on, so he's come here today. So if you'd like to just join with me and give him a round of applause. We all told him to stay at home, but he wouldn't stay. So, the destination, where have we all got to? Exciting times in the last round when we saw a change of leadership for the very first time. Avengers have led right from the word go up until the last round. They know why they lost it the last round. They made a mistake. They've found out where the mistake was. Hopefully they've put it right. What has that resulted in? Jonathan, shall we see where we were up until the final round?
No, we don't do it that way.
Okay.
We release the results slowly.
Okay, so we're going to release the results slowly. Okay, so are we starting in reverse order? Okay, so now you've got to remember this is 8th place out of 100 teams, yeah? So in 8th place with 2,593 points, we have a complete disaster. So what we're going to do is, if you'd like to come up, Alan on behalf of the Chartered Institute of Building and Andrew on behalf of the Institution of Civil Engineers will present you with your certificates.
Well done,
guys. Yeah, I think we're going to be all day.
Can you move across to the banners?
Yeah.
do it in front of the big ball, because I think the effect that you face is
Thank you very much. Pleasure. Pleasure. Leave it away. Do you want a team photograph all together now? Yep, just one team, all in, guys. Perfect. Well done, guys. Okay. So moving on into 7th place. On 2,846 points, we have Amigos.
They're remote.
So the Amigos are playing remotely. Guys, we haven't been able to see you. Hopefully you've been able to see and hear us. Many congratulations, and we will be sending you your little gifts and your certificates with one of the other teams, okay? So well done, everybody. Another round of applause for Amigos. Sixth place, 3,337 points. SNC Lavalin La Vida Loca. Guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Team photo, guys. I've got it.
Brilliant.
Okay. Oh, it's me again. Fifth place. We're getting into the exciting bits now. 3,653 points. Westworld. Again, Westworld, I hope you're watching. I hope you can hear us. I hope you've enjoyed the competition, even though you haven't been with us and felt part of it. Again, we'll be sending you your certificates and your little prizes with one of the other teams. So many congratulations and well done. Fourth place, 3,909 points, Code Alpha. Again, Code Alpha, I hope you can hear us and you're watching. Many congratulations. To come in fourth place whilst playing remotely is a real achievement, and you should be very proud of that. If you'd have been here, who knows, you might have given your other Atkins India teams a bit of a run for their money, but well done for playing online, and we'll be sending you your certificates and prizes with the other teams. Thank you very much. So who have we got left? Give us a wave. Oh, these three teams here. Okay, so in third place, on 4,559 points, so a big step up, Advait. Come on, guys. Was the photo okay? Make the most of it.
It's not customary to shake the lady's hands.
Okay. guys. Yeah.
Okay. Check the camera for me. Thank you.
Smile.
Lovely, thank you.
For the Qatar team.
Sorry?
For the Qatar team, don't shake the ladies' hands.
No, no.
Okay, so we're up to the really big decision now. Okay, so the final two places. So as soon as we reveal who the runners-up are, then of course we know who the winners are. Okay, it's been a really, really close competition, and as you know, the Avengers really stormed into a lead and held that right up until the last round when they made a bit of a mistake which cost them the lead. So where are we now? Jonathan, show us the runners-up and the winners. So runners-up with 4,729 points, winners with 5,177. You've got to remember that you all started out with 1,000 points. Okay, so getting to 5,000 is really pretty impressive. Okay, and the results are? So many, many congratulations to Pantachantra and great commiserations to the Avengers. Guys, absolutely storming performance. You must feel very, very proud. Don't be disappointed. It was incredible. If you could have kept it going till the end, nobody has ever done that before.
I'm disappointed without looking to my Qatari holiday.
Yeah. Guys, you made your run at the right time. You know, very impressive. Very impressive. So if we could have the Avengers out, please. Runners up. Well done. Don't shake the hands of the ladies. For Alan. Alan presents this.
Alan does this one.
Sorry?
Alan does this one.
So,
Maybe
Andrew.
does it.
That's the grand. Yeah. Yeah. Not now, John. Not now. Team photograph, guys. Oh. Just stay there just for one moment because there is also a check that you win, which is Alan, do you do that one? Sorry. Okay, well done, guys. And finally, would the winners like to come up, please? Many congratulations. Is there one more? No, that's it. Okay, so we'll do the team. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're forgetting the most important bits. In fact, I think we'll do it like that. Andrew, who's the team leader? Ah, there you go. And
Many congratulations.
I'm forgetting the trophy. And even though it really isn't important, the cheque for £5,000 just sort of helps that little bit, you know. Yep, come on in, team. You need some more arms. Well done, guys. Another round of applause, please. Are we doing the big picture first?
Let's do the sit-down chat first.
Yep.
Okay?
So,
And then
so what we're going to do now, Andrew, the president of the ICE, has asked if he can have a sort of 10-minute question and answer session with you all. So just sat here where you are. He's just going to talk, and you can ask him questions, or he'll ask you questions. And then we'll do one final photograph of everybody outside, and we'll go from there. Andrew, you're in the chair. You're in the hot seat.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm not a big fan of standing up. You're still live streaming. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
It's the people on the...
Okay. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Andrew Wiley. I'm president of the Institution of Civil Engineers. Up until 2 weeks ago, I was also chief executive of the Costain Group for the last 14 years, which is an civil engineering, smart infrastructure business. I'm also on the board of Yorkshire Water. And one of my big passions is people development. And I'm not going to give you a big speech because I much prefer a dialogue, but there are two short things I would like to say to you. I'd like to talk to you about a guy called Henry Palmer, 22 years old, is an engineer from Hackney in East London. Recently completed a 5-year apprenticeship. Pretty unremarkable, you might be thinking. Henry is concerned about congestion and the price paid by his customers in transporting materials. But not only was Henry concerned about those costs, he's actually been motivated to do something about it. He's come up with an innovative transport solution using containers. And so convinced is Henry Palmer that his innovative design is unique, he's actually applied for a patent. Henry Palmer, 22-year-old guy from Hackney in East London, I think that's pretty remarkable. But actually Henry's engineering ability, commercial acumen, understanding of the customer is not the reason I'm talking to you now about Henry Palmer. Henry Palmer is also worried about his professional development. Young guy, wanted to get on, but was concerned that existing institutions were a little bit elitist and difficult to join. So what he did was get together with 3 or 4 of his friends and colleagues, all under the age of 35, and meet to discuss what needs to be done. The date of that meeting, 2nd of January, 1818. As it turns out, the inaugural meeting of the Institution of Civil Engineers. They met at a time of fast and unrelenting change to share each other's experiences, learn best practice, and provide solutions to the big issues of the day. 200 years later, the institution has gone from strength to strength, now has over 92,000 members in over 150 countries. So the first point, and I'm only going to make 2 points, the first point I'll make to you is at the age of 22, 23 or 24, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something extraordinary. And there will be plenty of people try and tell you that, but think of Henry Palmer, 22 years old, 200 years ago, created the organization that now exists. Don't let anybody tell you you're not old enough, you haven't got enough experience or anything like that. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. In terms of the competition, many, many thanks to the professor for coming along today. You might know, or might not know, that nearly 30 years ago, I was sitting on one of those tables. I was in the final of the second merit game ever run in 1989. And like this team, we were leading with 1 round to go. And then they introduced an economic downturn. And we had a choice about whether we priced jobs at a loss to stay in business or took a different course. We decided not to price jobs at a loss. And I still stand by that decision as being absolutely the right thing to do. And we actually went through the world's worst ever economic downturn in 2008, and Costain didn't do it then either. So I've got sympathy for having coming second after having been first for so long, but hope for everybody else sitting around this table. If you didn't collect the salver today, I'd like to think in another 10 years, maybe 15 years, you'll be sitting in this chair giving the same talk. Thanks to Alan Crane, who I've known for many, many years, a great mentor. If ever you want to maintain that contact to get experience, Alan's a great guy to bounce your ideas off. Thanks to the CIOB and CITB for supporting this event, and obviously Loughborough University for all of their hosting and running of the competition. Because with 100 teams to be in the top 8 is just a phenomenal experience. And so much of what you've been talking about in the last couple of days around teamwork, risk decisions, pricing, customer knowledge, etc., is an absolute mirror of what it's like in the real world. And I would encourage you to have the courage of the convictions you've had in the last 2 days to get 5,000 points when you very soon are running your own engineering organizations. And that leads me to the second brief point I'd like to make, is about your future. And I believe there has never been a more exciting time to have a career in engineering. We are now entering this fourth, or have entered the fourth industrial revolution. A revolution characterized by a fusion of technology breakthroughs that's blurring the edges between the physical, biological, and digital spheres. Nanotechnology, quantum computing, artificial intelligence, robotics. I believe that you should seize that opportunity to be at the very forefront of that revolution. Seizing that opportunity to fill your destiny, to make your own lasting contribution to the society in which we live. If you've got, I suspect there's nobody in this room not got an iPhone or a smartphone or a device like that. It's only 10 years since the Apple iPhone was introduced. And just think of the impact that product has had on our global society. All of you have got 50 years ahead of you in terms of your career. That's 5 iterations of the iPhone. Just imagine what's going to be possible. It's only going to be limited by your imagination and your ambition. So in concluding, before I open up to some Q&A, this is a really exciting time. We know solutions to the world's biggest issues are only going to be provided by outstanding people. I was really keen to come here today because I know to get into the final of merit, you've got to be outstanding people. And I've seen lots of evidence in meeting you today to reinforce that. I would encourage you to step into the shoes of Henry Palmer. Seize that opportunity to fulfill your own destiny and make your own lasting contribution to the society in which we live. Thank you. Now, what I'd like to do, 5-10 minutes if it's okay with you, is open the floor to question and answers. My style is to be very open and honest. A couple of rules of engagement, if that's all right. First of all, I'm going to treat you like adults, and I'll give you a straightforward answer. It means I can't guarantee you're going to like the answer, if that's okay. And also, if your questions can ideally be constructive and ideally polite, that would be good. But again, I'm used to all sorts. So it really is your opportunity to ask you, rather than listen to me, give the opportunity for you to ask me anything you like.
Why you are the president of the IC institution?
Why am I the president? Well, I'm an engineer by profession. The purpose of civil engineering, right back to Henry Palmer, in the original Royal Charter for the Institution of Civil Engineering, is to improve people's lives. And for me, there is not a more rewarding career than being a civil engineer. And the things that you can look at, some of you might have been to London, seen the high-speed rail terminus at St Pancras Station. That was a Costain project. I take every opportunity to show every relative that I've got visiting London, this is what we do as a job. The ability to travel to France, economic development, etc., etc. So after a relatively successful career, I was approached by the institution and said, would you consider being president for the year? And for me, there's no greater honor as an engineer than to be asked to lead the profession for 12 months and perhaps give a little bit of that experience back. But more importantly, I'd like to think, shine a light on where the institution's going in this fourth industrial revolution world. I use a really crude analogy to try and describe what's actually happening in the marketplace. This is like when the railways arrived, when all we used to was canal boats. And every single one of you has got a choice to make in your career as to whether you're in the canal boat business or the railway business. And I would suggest it's quite hard to be in both. And we would be having the same conversation if we were retailers. It's inconceivable if we were retailers that we wouldn't think our successful future at least had some sort of online platform and certainly involved algorithms to understand our customers better. And that's what's happening already. It's exactly the same in infrastructure. The deployment of technology to increase the capacity of infrastructure networks, to improve customer service, and to improve the security of supply is only going to grow as an opportunity. And that's about the deployment of technology, not necessarily the deployment of steel and concrete in the same amount that has been historically.
What do you think is going to be the next big thing that fundamentally changes our industry?
Well, one of the issues I had was when somebody asked me that question to define the industry. Because in this railway world, the answer to the question depends on whether you're describing the industry in the railway world or in the canal boat world. Costain's in the railway world, smart infrastructure. And so the type of organizations that we're increasingly competing with, collaborating with, joint venturing with are the Apples, the Googles, the Telents, the Oxford Metrics, the Ciscos, the Telefonicas, because it is about deploying technology to improve people's lives, which is the role of civil engineers. If I was to give you, you've just played the merit game for 2 days. If I were to give you all a sheet of paper and say, as of tomorrow morning, you are running your own business, and you've got a list of 100 slots to fill in your team sheet for who you want in your team tomorrow. Just to give you an example of what you might be thinking about, I had the good fortune as the president of the institution visiting Arup's new headquarters in Singapore at the beginning of the year. Nice building in downtown Singapore, which also houses their global center for acoustics. And within the building, there's a room about half the size of this. I was sat on a chair, surrounded with speakers, and they projected onto the walls the inside of a concert hall in Norway. And on walked the actor onto stage, and they could move the baffles around, change the materials, and you could hear how the concert hall changed in its performance. I then got whisked up onto the front row of the circle, and they put an orchestra on the stage, and you need a completely different set of baffles, acoustic treatment for an orchestra. With a flick of a switch, I was on a high-speed 2 train in Buckinghamshire in England, and they were demonstrating the acoustic treatment that was proposed to protect a primary school near Aylesbury. All of this, would you agree, is civil engineering? Is that a fair assessment? So this is Arups, who I think are an outstandingly good civil engineering company. This is being driven by 3 young people, all under the age of 25. This is their global showcase. So I turned to the corner and asked these 3 people, just out of interest, what's your background? And the young guy stepped forward, jeans, t-shirt. What do you think he said his background was? Best guess. He said, I'm an ex-DJ, just love sound. I felt like an idiot asking the question. The point is, this is Arup in 2019 already. How many of you, you've just played the merit game, the parallels between merit and the real world are frighteningly similar. How many of you in your A team for tomorrow morning in your businesses had written in ex-DJ?
My son works for a massive, big American management consultant, 400,000 employees worldwide. And what interests me is the recruitment strategy for the media and communications divisions is largely engineering. And they used to recruit from here.
Yep.
They argue that the engineering training with its numeracy and literacy outstrips the rest.
Yep.
They can do all the numbers and they can think wider than people that have not had the same training.
Yeah.
So from where I sit, the future for engineering is unbounded.
I'm absolutely with you. And going back to your question, in a world which is coming now of autonomous vehicles, connected vehicles, electric vehicles, a ban on diesel and petrol engines in Scotland by 2032, how many of you are thinking you don't need algorithm writers in your business to make the signs on smart motorways change? How many of you are thinking I don't need data analysts to, on behalf of our customers, provide a better outcome from infrastructure?
In my son's company, the highest paid people are the data analysts. And the second highest paid people are guys that can write COBOL for Santander and everyone else to get them to catch up.
I totally agree. So the point is, you're the future leaders as of Monday, especially the winners. Salary increase coming your way, I suspect. You've got to think, what are the skills and capabilities I need for tomorrow's market, not today's? Costain's a listed company. And just to put this into context, the UK government's quite keen on industrial strategy. Have you heard of this idea before? This is where the UK is good at a number of key sectors, aeronautics, etc., etc., etc. There was a green paper, consultation paper, issued 2 years ago about industrial strategy. And Tony Bickerstaff and I, finance director, were going around the city meeting all of the fund managers, the investors, whose day job it is to invest on our behalf, because it's our pensions, in growing and successful companies, to pick winners. And we asked then, and have asked every day since, a simple question of the fund managers, the sales teams in the banks and the brokers. Can you name in any sector, a growing and successful business that hasn't fundamentally enhanced or developed or changed its service or product in the last 2 years? Can any of you think of a growing and successful business that hasn't fundamentally changed, enhanced, or developed its product or service in the last 2 years? Any ideas? Well, we were asking fund managers whose day job it is to pick winners. They couldn't think of one either. So we've got some of the brightest people in the industry in 2019 sitting in Loughborough University from around the world. You can't think of a growing and successful business in any sector that hasn't fundamentally enhanced, developed its product or service in the last 2 years. If you want to be working for, or more importantly, I would suggest you leading a growing and successful business in another 2 years' time, what does that imply you've got to do again? You can't think of a growing and successful business that hasn't transformed its product or service in the last 2 years, in another 2 years' time, if you are not driving that speed of change, innovation, product development into your organization, you know what the outcome is going to be. You've played Merit Game and you can't think of growing a successful business that's not doing that. So I would suggest to you as future leaders and current leaders, if you haven't got that front and center of your mind, that speed of transformation, then you know where the outcomes are likely to be. So I'd very much encourage you to seize that opportunity, take the lessons from the Merit Game, deploy them in your businesses and in your careers, and I look forward to coming back in another 10 years' time and listening to one of you sitting in this chair. Thanks very much.
Andrew, thank you very much. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go outside and do a quick photo.
Yeah, it's not raining.
Yeah?
Which way? Go to the
This
bar.
way and out here.
No, we're going to go full of chairs, so we'll go out the bar we did last year. I think.
Okay.
Tony,